4-year-old housemates from hell when living in student accommodation. I finished my second year at university and I've been living in the same house in student accommodation the whole time. The student accommodation isn't dorms, but a gated community of townhouses that is a 5-minute walk from campus. Each house has 5 rooms, one downstairs that's a premium room as it's bigger, the room I live in, and 4 upstairs rooms. Each room has their own bathroom, but the kitchen, dining area, and living area are all shared by the housemates. Additionally, we all only pay rent for our own rooms, so as people come and go from the university, we don't have to deal with replacing roommates. And management of the village is responsible for putting in new housemates and dealing with individual contracts. Here's where it all goes wrong. At this point, I've lived in my room in my house for 1.5 years and have never had any issues with housemates. I've had 8 from all sorts of backgrounds and things were fine. The place is pretty chill and everyone who lives there has to be a student at the university and is usually around 18 to 25 years old. Semester 2 of university starts around June as I live in Australia and there are 3 vacant rooms upstairs. So I'm expecting some new housemates. As I come home one day, I see 2 middle-aged ladies sitting at the dining table. So as I walk in the door, I introduce myself and say I live here and ask who they are. And to my shock, they say they're my new housemates. Okay. They explain that they're master's students who are both 40 years old and have just moved to Australia from Korea together. One of them has a husband and 2 kids that she left back home. At first, things are okay, but around the second week of us living together, things get strange. They messaged the house group chat complaining about a mess in the dining room that needed cleaning, which was just my jacket left on the chairs as I forgot to put it in my bag on my way to class. Hello ladies, good Thursday. This is a shared dormitory for 5 people, so after using the common area, please clean it up for your roommates. Okay. They said they couldn't eat at the lunch table because it was there, which I thought was strange. Why couldn't they just move it? But I said sorry anyways and put it back in my room. Things like this continue to happen until it starts to really frustrate me and my friend who lives in one of the upstairs rooms. The ladies come up with their own rules for the house without consulting the rest of the housemates, who are all ages 19 to 21, and post them in the group chat. These include a daily vacuuming schedule, disinfecting the microwave after every use, forbidden the use or opening of the sliding doors to the house, keeping curtains shut at all times during the day. We cannot make any noise, even playing music on our phones on half volume in our own rooms, and insisting that when they're using the kitchen or common areas, we cannot be in the kitchen or common areas either. Oh no. Me and my friend who lived upstairs decided to talk to them about these rules because we both have lived in the house for 1.5 years, and these ladies have lived there for 2 weeks. And we think they are unfair, especially as it's a very social place, as is university accommodation that is kind of made to accommodate younger students looking to make friends and enjoy the university culture and environment. Literally, these girls, these ladies are living in a dorm. If you don't want the university culture, find a different place to live. We talked to them super nicely and said we want to make sure that they're comfortable in this house and that we're willing to make adjustments if they are too, so everyone can be happy. Instead of being polite, they told us they think that because they're master's students and older than us, that they get to make the rules and we have to listen. No. I would argue that the people that were there longest get to make the rules, but at the end of the day, it's like nobody gets to make rules that other people don't agree to, you know? Like, it's like, okay, maybe, you know, they're a little bit, let's say you start living with a new roommate, and this roommate has something about cleaning where they're like, I really like my space to be like cleaner. So what can we do to collaborate on this to make it so that we're both like comfortable in this space? That has to be agreed to before these people move in. And hopefully, you know, if it becomes something that like, okay, maybe I would like it to be a little cleaner, you both have the discussion and you both collaborate together to figure out how to make it work together. One person doesn't get to just dictate the rules, okay? I pointed out nicely that after this, that at the end of the day, we pay the same rent. I pay more, as I have the downstairs room, but I didn't say that. Could argue that I pay more in rent, so I get to make rules, but anyways. Then it just gets weird, you know? Like, why is it that everybody can't just, like, get along? In this house, we are equals and should treat each other with respect despite any age differences. The fact that you said that, despite you having seniority in terms of, like, the fact that you live there longer and you pay more rent, that already tells me that you're the person in the right. After this, things got pretty tense pretty quickly and they became nasty. They would yell at us whenever we came downstairs, complain about tiny things, and ultimately write emails to management about us saying untrue things. and make it out to sound like we are hoarders and slobs who are forcing them to live in squalor. None of this, I would like to point out, is true. Our house is pretty clean, but of course there's just a bit of general mess that's created by existing as a human being in the house that we clean up at the end of the day after university if we haven't already cleaned it immediately after we made any mess. Dishes, a few crumbs on the carpet, etc. Also, our house gets monthly inspections to check for cleanliness, and we have never failed. So admin takes their complaints seriously, and we've been told off, even though the two ladies have attached no photographical evidence of the mess. They could have also faked that though. And our house now has weekly inspections. Additionally, we are now only allowed guests once at a time, for 1 hour at a time, with their permission, even if we are just in our own rooms not making noise. Admin doesn't take us seriously when we try to tell them about the situation because we are half their age. And obviously, they're going to believe the 40-year-olds rather than the 20-year-olds. This is a similar situation, like they're trying to make it unbearable for you so that you leave. Anyways, I asked admin to make them attach photos of the mess they were complaining about every few days, and to my surprise, I received a call from an admin shortly after. In the phone call, they said, "We received another complaint from your housemates, but after looking at photos, we agree that they're making mountains out of molehills, that they too are sick of dealing with their complaints." Another side note, I have a pretty severe anxiety disorder, and having to deal with this whole situation for the last 6 months has been awful for my mental health. Yeah, honestly, a situation like this is your home, your space is supposed to be your like safety net. It is supposed to be the place where you can go and relax and not have to worry about the stresses of the world and the fact that you don't feel safe. That's what you feel. You feel unsafe in your own home. I don't blame you. That's why I have a no tolerance policy with roommates. Or had. Now I just have a husband. I haven't been able to leave my room when they're out in the common spaces and even have panic attacks, oh bestie, when using the kitchen for fear of them coming back and yelling at me. Because of this, I've been planning on moving out of the house, but family and financial situations haven't allowed that. It's holidays, so I'm staying with my parents, but when semester starts up again in February, I truly don't know what I'm going to do to deal with them, the disrespect and endless complaints. Also, my friend from upstairs has now moved out. Oh no, so it's just you? Because of them and the lack of support from admin, so I'm on my own. Oh no. Hopefully the new housemate who fills that room will be nice. Another note, in my opinion, they are way too old to be living in student housing, and I just want to know what they expected when moving in with 3 20-year-olds. They didn't care. They're living there because it's cheap, babes. They don't care. And it's not like there isn't other cheap accommodation around. They moved here from Korea, so why don't they just move into their own apartment together if they have such a specific way for how they want to live? I mean, I agree with you, but I bet you anything, like if I know student housing, it's probably a lot cheaper and more convenient for them. Also, it's not like they don't know about the other housing options, because one day they showed me cheap apartments in the area they suggested I move into because they didn't want to live with me anymore. People are pointing out the roommate's husband is probably loving the fact that she's gone. Hello all, I will be having one overnight guest on Thursday. I hope that's okay. Thanks. Received, but we have a midterm on Friday, so don't be noisy. And then they send the village rules and policies. It's so passive aggressive. Oh my God. Oh my God. If I got a message like this, I would be so livid. All the rules. I'm just looking at all of these. This is so aggressive. They take a picture of the water bottle as if it's like, this is so messy. Look at all your mess. And meanwhile, they're leaving the stove on. Whoa. That is one thing that like you cannot let slide. Someone leaving a stove on. Like that is like, you got to get called out for that. But it's so interesting that they have so many rules about how clean they want things. But then they'll do something literally so dangerous, like leave the stove on. Buddy, I'm over it. So people are kind of pointing out, well, there is a mess. Like you left the carpet like with shit on it. And I don't know, man. Like, here's the thing. If they want to maintain an everyday let's vacuum policy, then just like literally turn on the vacuum and do it. It's not difficult. Honestly, takes less than 10 seconds. Nah, I'm over it. And I'm honestly, that's enough for today. I'm gonna leave this video upset. Oh man.